Welcome to the Cala Builders podcast. So imagine handing over like $35,000 for a complete kitchen overhaul.
Oh, and living through weeks of absolute construction dust.
Right, washing your dishes in the bathtub, which is just the worst. And then you realize later you could have gotten that exact same luxurious look for just $9,000.
Yeah, and been totally finished in, what, 3 days?
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into a massive pain point in home renovation. Specifically, the kitchen, because let's face it, the kitchen usually dictates the entire budget and timeline of a project.
It really does. I mean, it's the engine of the house, right? You're dealing with plumbing, electrical lines, heavy structural stuff, and high-end finishes all just crammed into one highly functional room.
The stakes are just incredibly high, which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. We are speaking directly to you, the learner, someone who, wants the ultimate shortcut to being well-informed.
You want to know your options without getting buried in contractor jargon, basically.
Right. So to get you there, we're drawing our insights today directly from the expertise and internal knowledge base of Cala Builders. They're a premier general contractor serving the Los Angeles area.
And their daily boots-on-the-ground experience out in Southern California gives us a really grounded perspective. We're looking at this through the lens of actual projects, not just, abstract design theory.
Yeah, and the central dilemma we're exploring from their sources is one almost every homeowner faces at some point. Cabinet refacing versus full replacement.
The big debate.
Right. Which one actually saves more money in Los Angeles? Like, is it genuinely possible to save up to 50% and finish in under a week? Or is taking that shortcut just slapping a cosmetic Band-Aid on a much bigger problem?
That is the real question.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to start by defining what these two paths actually look like.
Yeah, because to accurately weigh the costs, we have to completely redefine what these terms mean when the tool bells actually go on. The industry uses cabinet refacing and full replacement, but there's this massive misconception about refacing.
I'll be honest, I completely fell for it. When I first heard refacing, I pictured a crew rolling out drop cloths, pulling out some sandpaper, and just slapping some high-gloss paint over old oak cabinets.
And that's what most people think. But the source material makes it super clear that it's absolutely not the process.
Not even close, right?
Far from it. A fresh coat of paint is just cosmetic. Real cabinet refacing is an involved structural modification. Here's how it actually works mechanically.
Walk me through it.
So, the contractor leaves your existing cabinet boxes, like the hollow shells screwed into your wall studs. They leave those exactly where they are.
Okay.
But they completely rip off and discard all the old doors, the drawer fronts, and the original hardware.
Wait, so you're just left staring into bare, open wooden boxes in your kitchen?
Precisely. It looks crazy for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
But from there, a skilled crew applies a brand new premium veneer to all the exposed sides and face frames. Yeah, we're talking heavy-duty wood or thermofoil bonded to the frames. So it seamlessly matches the brand new doors and drawer fronts they're about to install. You're entirely rebuilding the exterior shell.
That makes a lot more sense.
And here's a really fascinating secondary benefit. Because the drawer fronts are off, the crew has total access to the internal tracks.
Oh, right, so they can swap out the hardware.
Exactly. It's the perfect window to trash those rusty 20-year-old tracks and put in modern, heavy-duty, soft-close hinges and undermount slides.
I love soft close hinges. So refacing is essentially like putting a premium heavy-duty case on an older smartphone.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right, like it looks brand new, the buttons feel better, but the processor inside is exactly the same.
That's a phenomenal analogy. The processor remains completely untouched. The internal storage capacity, the height of the fixed shelves, the overall footprint, none of that changes.
So if you already like how your kitchen flows, it's a huge win.
Exactly. But to grasp the limits of that, we have to look at full replacement, which means ripping everything out down to the bare drywall.
Like total demolition, sledgehammers, dumpsters, the whole 9 yards.
Complete removal. And yeah, that brings a lot of chaos and dust, but it buys you the single most valuable luxury in design, unconstrained flexibility.
Because you aren't trapped by the old processor anymore.
Exactly. You can move the plumbing stack to put a farmhouse sink under a different window. You can knock back a wall to widen a walkway, or build that massive center island you've always wanted.
And I noticed in the Cala Builders blog that a total teardown fundamentally changes storage capabilities, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of older boxes from the 80s or 90s, they're pretty shallow, or they just have those fixed, unmovable wooden shelves.
Right. With a full replacement, you can install those massive deep pots and pans drawers. You can integrate those heavy-duty pull-out pantry organizers.
And older boxes just can't handle that.
It comes down to sheer structural capacity. Those stationary boxes were engineered for a totally different era. They just lack the depth and reinforced sidewalls needed to anchor modern heavy storage hardware.
So a full replacement is a fundamental upgrade to the physics of the space, not just the look.
Exactly.
You know, the transition between these two options is fascinating because it shifts how you make the decision. We tend to think about renovations emotionally, right? Like picking the color of the smartphone case.
We all do it.
But reading the sources, it's glaringly obvious that choosing refacing versus replacement isn't about aesthetics at all. It's about hidden structural integrity.
That is the pivotal barrier to entry. Cala Builders actually stresses a golden rule here. Refacing is only a viable option if your existing cabinet boxes are structurally flawless.
The bones have to be good.
The bones must be immaculate.
It's like building a new house on an old foundation. If the concrete is cracked, it doesn't matter how pretty the roof is.
A perfect way to frame it. Before you even think about ordering new custom doors, you have to empty your cabinets and do a harsh physical inspection.
What are we looking for?
You got to press on the bottom panels, especially under the sink and the dishwasher. You're feeling for any soft, spongy spots in the wood.
Uh-oh.
Water damage.
Exactly. You're hunting for hidden water damage, warping along the side panels, or any mold.
The material matters too, right? The sources called out particle board specifically.
Oh, yeah.
For you listening, just think about how mass-produced older cabinets were made. They used pressed particle board, which is just sawdust and wood chips glued together.
Right. And over a couple of decades, in a humid kitchen, that resin breaks down. The board literally just crumbles back into sawdust.
Which you can't reverse.
Irreversible. If you find crumbling particle board or shelves bowing into a U shape under your plates, refacing is completely off the table.
It just won't hold up. Attempting to bond a rigid new veneer over a failing box is just delaying a disaster. Within a year or two, the box will fail and take your expensive new doors down with it.
But wait, let me push back on this just to test the theory. Let's say a homeowner does the inspection. The boxes are, well, they're okay.
Yeah.
Not crumbling, maybe just some older MDF. Now, suppose they really want to upgrade to heavy, modern stone countertops, like a thick slab of quartz. Couldn't they just reinforce the older boxes, reface the doors to save money, and slap the heavy stone on top?
This raises an important question. And honestly, it is one of the most dangerous financial traps a homeowner can fall into.
Really? Just because of the weight?
The physics simply do not support that shortcut. Older or flimsier boxes were engineered to hold lightweight laminate or maybe tile.
Right.
When we talk about modern stone countertops, we're talking about hundreds, frequently thousands of pounds of dead weight pressing down on those frames.
That is wild to think about because when you're in a showroom holding a little 6-inch quartz sample, you totally forget how heavy the full slab is.
You completely disconnect from the gravity of the material. If you place that massive weight on weakened frames, they will buckle.
And then what?
Even a shift of a few millimeters can cause a massive fissure to crack right down the center of your expensive stone.
Oh.
And beyond the physics, the logistics make retrofitting a nightmare later on.
Because of the domino effect? Like, if the cabinets break later?
Precisely. Say you reface flimsy cabinets and put stone on top. 5 years later, the cabinets give out. You can't just slide crushed cabinets out from underneath a 1,000-pound slab of epoxied quartz without snapping the stone.
So if you're doing countertops, you should probably just do full replacement at the same time.
It is vastly more cost-effective over the lifespan of the home.
So structural integrity dictates the whole path. If the bones are bad or the new load is too heavy, you just have to walk away from refacing.
You have to swallow the hard pill that a full replacement is mandatory.
Okay, so once the structural reality tells us if refacing is even possible, let's talk about the hard math and the ticking clock, the financial and timeline impacts.
Let's break down the exact numbers for the Los Angeles market, based on Cala Builders metrics.
Let's use their baseline, a standard 10 by 10 foot kitchen.
Right. So if your boxes are rock solid and you reface, you're looking at a cost hovering between $5,000 and $9,000.
In industry terms, the sources say that's roughly $100 to $150 per linear foot.
That's the baseline. Now, pivot to a full teardown and replacement for that same 10 by 10 footprint. The financial jump is severe.
How much are we talking?
Instantly $15,000 to $35,000 or more. depending on premium materials. That translates to $200 to over $400 per linear foot.
Wow. So refacing genuinely does offer a legitimate 30 to 50% savings, assuming the foundation holds up.
Mathematically, yes. Absolutely.
But honestly, reading the research, the timeline disparity gave me more anxiety than the price tag.
The timeline is huge.
Refacing takes 3 to 5 days. And because you aren't tearing out plumbing or load-bearing walls, the kitchen is mostly usable. Like, you can still get water from the sink at night.
It drastically minimizes that daily grinding friction. You aren't microwaving meals in your bedroom for a month.
Right. But then a full replacement, even with pre-manufactured stock cabinets, takes 2 to 4 weeks.
At a minimum.
But here's what shocked me. The sources say custom cabinets can take 8 to 12 weeks. Hold on, why on earth does it take 3 months just for wooden cabinets?
It's all rooted in the supply chain and custom woodworking.
Yeah.
Custom cabinets aren't sitting in a warehouse waiting for your credit card to clear.
They have to be made from scratch.
Entirely from scratch.
First,
They take millimeter-perfect laser measurements of your newly framed walls. Then raw hardwood is sourced, milled, assembled, sanded, painted in a climate-controlled booth, and shipped.
it's a bespoke manufacturing process for every single drawer.
Every solitary component.
Good.
And here's the real bottleneck. That 8 to 12-week fabrication window must finish before installation can even start.
Which means if you mess up the schedule, you could demolish your old kitchen and just live in a gutted shell for a quarter of the year waiting for wood to show up.
That happens constantly in this industry. You have to order months before the first sledgehammer swings.
Which naturally introduces the most critical piece of the puzzle. With all this hidden structural risk, heavy stone, and supply chain anxiety, you can't just hire a guy with a truck who kind of knows drywall.
No, you need a highly organized operational structure to absorb these issues.
Which perfectly cues up the operational model of Cala builders. Because they're a licensed general contractor, license number 1156496, by the way, and they serve a massive footprint in Los Angeles County.
We're talking Woodland Hills, Calabasas, Pasadena, Santa Monica, and the whole San Fernando Valley.
It's a huge, diverse architectural area. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. To prevent those 12-week timeline disasters, they use a design-build model.
Yeah, that model is key.
Because normally, you're the general manager. You hire an architect, you take the blueprints to the city for permits yourself, then you hire a separate crew and just pray they understand the drawings.
It's a notoriously fractured system.
Yeah.
When a problem pops up, like finding a rotted vent stack behind a wall, everything stops.
Right. The carpenter stops, calls the architect, who redraws plans, resubmits to the city while the plumber's just sitting around.
Weeks are lost in communication friction. But the design-build model Cala uses brings all that under one umbrella. Creative design, engineering, LA permitting, and construction are all one unified entity.
Which lets them handle crazy complex projects. The sources mention custom luxury homes, commercial builds, and ADU accessory dwelling units.
ADs are huge right now.
And hillside construction, which in LA means complex soil engineering and retaining walls.
You cannot have silos of communication with foundational engineering on a hillside.
Exactly. And their team structure is unique. Instead of hiring a random crew, Cala uses an in-house brain trust. It's like a perfectly synced pit crew where there's no blame game.
The blame game is the absolute bane of construction. The electrician blames the framer, the plumber blames the designer, but with an in-house model, accountability is built in.
The sources actually break down this pit crew. How do these specific roles prevent the nightmare scenarios?
Well, it starts at the top with Mehdi, the owner. 30 years of experience, licensed General B contractor. He sets the standard for precision.
Okay, so that's the baseline.
Then you have Shaheen, the lead project manager, also a licensed General B contractor. He's a logistical conductor, sequencing permits, tracking custom cabinet timelines, making sure the schedule holds.
So Shaheen ensures demolition doesn't start until the cabinets are actually ready. But what if something goes wrong during the build?
That's where Argavan comes in. She's the senior lead designer. She ensures form meets strict building codes. If there's a structural surprise, she instantly adjusts the layout without ruining the aesthetic.
And they have the actual systems experts right there to pivot.
Exactly. Aaliyah is their licensed electrician. He can instantly reroute circuitry, upgrade panels, whatever is needed. And Mirdad, the licensed plumber and project manager, handles moving complex water lines to match the new design.
So if Cala Builders comes to assess if your cabinets can hold an 800-pound quartz slab, you aren't getting a guess from a salesperson.
No, you're getting the synchronized gaze of a designer, a project manager, a master plumber, and an electrician, all evaluating it in real time.
That multidisciplinary approach is how they maintain quality control across Southern California.
It completely removes the friction from the system.
So what does this all mean? If we boil this all down for you, the main takeaway is a warning against false economy.
Right. Don't be blinded by the savings.
Exactly. Don't let the 50% savings of cabinet refacing blind you to the physical reality of your kitchen's infrastructure. Have a pro assess the bones before making a decision.
Because putting a beautiful new veneer over moisture-damaged particle board is just throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
The physics will win and you'll pay twice.
So before you commit to a budget or fall in love with a stone countertop, get a seasoned professional to evaluate the hidden structure. And if you're in the LA area, definitely check out Cala Builders for a team that values quality, integrity, and transparency.
You need a team that adapts to your home's unique reality, not someone forcing a prepackaged solution on a failing structure.
Well said. That brings us to the end of our deep dive. But before we sign off, we always like to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, how much of the hidden structure in our homes, and maybe even in our lives, is secretly dictating our daily friction? What else might we just be putting a new veneer on when what we really need is the courage for a full rebuild?